Good morning, folks, to those in Australia, and good evening to those in the US and the Northern Hemisphere, most of it. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. This is our 49th episode. Today, my featured guest is Arash Salavatian, or better known locally as Yaru Sal. He is an amazing person, but he's also a very multidisciplinary artist. He's a great musician. He's a poet, and an overall nice guy. William, this is not an open mic, my friend. As you know, this show I feature different guests, and today I've got Yaru Sal on the show, who's in the room soon. Yaru, if you can put in a request, brother, I'll bring you up. Oh, here you are. You've already done it. I'll bring Yaru up without any further ado. Okay, waiting for Yaru to come up. Yeah, as I was saying, he's just an overall nice guy, very talented. Yaru, how are you, my friend?
How's it going, mate? Good to see
Good
you.
to see you too, brother. Good to see you too.
Beautiful morning
This,
today.
it is, isn't it? We're lucky to be down this part of the world, isn't it? Great weather. Um, Brother, this has been long overdue. This getting you on here, and the
Thank you
day
very
has
much.
finally come, and I am so happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Same for me. I really look forward to the conversation. We always have like awesome conversations at the poetry night, so I really look forward to it. And thanks for
Yeah,
having me here too. I've been following your sort of previous interviews, and I love them. I love all of them.
thank you.
So
Yeah, I
definitely,
know. Yeah, I've seen you in the room and with your comments and all that. It's been awesome, and it is great. It's like I love all my featured guests here, but it's particularly good when it's somebody that I meet pretty much every week, if not once or twice in the week at poetry nights or open mic nights. And you're right, I do enjoy the conversations that we have, and I really love the support you give everybody in the room at those open mic nights too. You're well liked because it really reflects the purity of your heart, the authenticity of who you are, right?
oh, mate, it's it's not. It's interesting because it's not that difficult to do. Like especially when you come from like a place of, uh, like from from a 9 to 5, like or from an office space. It's just so easy to then feel um, like you safe and just comfortable in an environment where everybody's being vulnerable and safe and open and like which is the sort of stark contrast to the meeting room in the office where you always have to be on edge and you
Yeah.
have to make sure you're not, and everybody's just trying most people are just trying to say things that they don't mean or do things that they don't want. So yeah, I found that I was just like deep in the sort of corporate world, I guess, beforehand, and the contrast was really, I appreciated the change of pace a lot, and I've just like openly showed it, I think.
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah.
I also think generally, and I'm a firm believer that we are we are a subject of our past and our environmental inheritance. And I think stemming from the fires always produces um, a more pure, authentic approach to life. Now, I know you were born in Iran and you migrated here, and you migrated here as an adult. So I'm sure you would have seen a lot of life there that also has molded who you are
Yeah.
and valuing what life is today and the authenticity of people.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I can't really tell for I can't really say for like from other people's perspectives, but from my personal perspective, in even in Iran, because um, I went through a lot of. I was basically raised by my friends, you know, like the kind of, not to, I love my mom and dad, but I was always the outside kid, you know, always just hanging out with the mates and since a young age. And also, uh, so I experienced like social circles a lot growing up, and I've maintained contact with my social
Yeah.
circles that I've get it, and it kind of became like it's it became part of my
Mm.
confidence. I feel like I still have conversations with friends that I've haven't even met for like 10 years or 15 years, but it it feels like we never left each other. So it was kind of like I don't know if I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but like it felt um I felt kind of like on my own from a young age.
Mhm.
And that also um allowed me to experience like the world through my own lens, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And
Very.
just be cautious about it. Like,
Mm.
oh, and like everything was fresh. I'm always very curious. So I don't, oh, and fairly stubborn when I was young. So, oh, I I wouldn't take no for an answer unless you actually explained why. And, got me in a lot of trouble, especially in religious classes. But, yeah. I've been. One thing that I noticed. I think the first time, one of the one of the main sort of significant experiences in my life that actually impacted my sort of social understanding was the military service. I did military service back in Iran. It's compulsory there for boys anyway, and in there you because it's such a diverse pool of people. You're all going through um, you're all going through troubled times together, being boot camp and someone yelling at you and being like, "You do this, you do that," you know. You kind of forge these. You let go of some of your sort of maybe like entitlements
Yep.
or like perceived entitlements,
Yep.
and because you really need to make that connection to survive that environment. And I've found that um, you can forge a meaningful friendship or have a meaningful conversation with just about anybody. Like it's just about anybody. Anybody. Like when I say anybody, I mean like this guy on the left bunk bed was was an engineer because they all get drafted randomly, right?
Mm.
So this guy was an engineer. This guy on the right hand side was a thief.
Mm.
Was like an actual thief. Like that was his daytime job. He just identified, I'm a thief.
Yeah. And
And we had like this group of 5 people, and the guy below me on the bunk below me was a farmer,
Mm.
17-year-old guy, just about to get married. He was waiting to get 8 to 18 to get married, and sort of all these that was our gang, you know, for about 2 months, and I forged some real connections there. I'm still in contact with some of them, you know, and they're like, we message each other, and they're like, they message me like, "How'd you go?" And I feel like I took that with me wherever I go. I know, like for a fact now, that you can have a meaningful conversation with anyone you meet. It's just how much are you willing to step outside of your own sort of comfort zone, not necessarily comfort zone, but how much are you willing to just explore, you know, new ideas and see what new takes or what they have to offer. I feel, and then yeah, I'm
Mate,
just
that
over elaborating. I think a lot on something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing. You tell me. And
That
lovely
is,
to see everyone down there. Sorry, guys.
no,
I'm just seeing the comments down here, and my cats are also very well. Yeah, they probably will come at some stage. I saw someone asking about the cats.
couple of things, man. You're very right. As I said before, we're a subject of our environment, and that adaptability through your military service draft. As I said, you got a whole mix of people all in one small room, right? And you could relate. And at the end of the day, they train you that you're in there, doesn't matter what background you come from,
Mhm.
you're in, you've got to have each other's backs through thick and thin. And
Yes,
that's, these are things that are reflective and are conducive as adults and as individuals to be supportive of the people around us, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I've got to say, you mentioned something that, yeah, you literally grew up amongst your friends. I've got to say, the choice of your friends, the ones I have met, are sound because the ones are your friends who've come to support you at open mics that I've met. They're all beautiful guys. They're really lovely guys, you know, that I've met through you, which is a credit to
I'm blessed
your,
with good friends. Yeah.
you know, your selection of friends, right?
Mm.
We have a lot of acquaintances, but then we make a group of friends, and the ones who are close to you, they've all seemed very, very nice people. So that's all credit to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am proud of my friends. I'm like very proud of my friends. I always am. Yeah.
Well, and it's good to hold on to things of value from your previous life, right? Before you came here, you know, things of value you hold on to things. Well, I do anyway. Things that I hold of value that I thought were great, I still maintain in my character. What I think was outdated, ridiculous, I throw out, right?
Mm.
Same with my growing up here. What I see of value, I hold on to. What I think is crap, I just disregard. I'm not compelled to accept everything society gives me. You know,
Yes.
I just take what resonates with me, and what's not, I just throw out. Right?
Yeah. That's the poet's thing, isn't it? It's like the having that a little bit of stubbornness when it comes to taking things for face value. And just like I'm gonna have a think about that. And sometimes, and I love that because it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It's just you be authentic. Like what you think. What do you actually think? Do you really think that, or do you believe that? Or
Yes,
if you're not fully like understanding or believing it, always just question more and question more. That's what I'm
a
thinking.
concept or a trait has to resonate with you, right? And
Yeah.
it's got to right because at the end of the day, our truth is what we see at the time through our eyes,
Mm.
and that's important to you're right. We could be wrong, and later in life, something will happen to prove us, to show us that that was a wrong belief. That's called growth.
Yes. Spot on. Spot on. Yeah.
I am not the
Exactly.
same guy I was when I was in my teens, right? Matter of
Yeah.
fact, in my teens, I was a real asshole. You know,
Yeah.
you probably
Yeah. Same. Not an asshole, but like now I look at it, like, now I look at the things that I've done, and I'm like, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day at the bar. It was a music producer, and we were talking because I had a rock band back in Iran, like a hard rock band, and we recorded an album that we never released. And for years, I used to think, oh, what a shame that I didn't release this album. Like, it's such a good album because I was vibing with it. But it wasn't a bad album, like musically, but lyrically, it's horrible. It's like if, it's horrible. It's like if you get sort of AC/DC, Kiss, and say ZZ Top, and
yeah.
then merge all the worst things about them into one song.
Mate,
It's like
I
it's horrible.
grew up,
And
you know.
it's same. I'm like a hard rocker, but like lyrically, right? Like Dirty Deeds done the cheap, and then but I was like 17, 18 years old. Yeah, so now this producer guy was asking me about it, and I was like, "Oh, really keen to release it," and it's like, "Oh, have you released it?" And I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever will."
Mate,
I think that's for me to say.
you mentioned AC/DC. That brings back childhood memories because I remember seeing them in bands before they were in pubs before they were well known. And these
Kidding?
days with Bon Scott, right?
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah. And
Wow.
it took me a long time to get back into AC/DC after Bon Scott died because I grew up with
Yeah,
watching this guy stars, you know what I mean?
yeah. And
Um,
it was a bit difficult with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, what led you into writing poetry?
I used to be very good at writing back in school, like primary school, like doing essays and stuff. But I never took it sort of seriously. I did some diaries when I was again in my military service because it was sort of therapeutic, kind of like it was like an only uh, basically my only creative outlet because I didn't have any instruments there or nothing.
Yeah.
And but again, I didn't think much of it and didn't take it seriously. The rock band, I was doing some songwriting. Songs weren't that like lyrics. I've already talked about that. Wasn't that serious. And it until well, I migrated in 2012. Studied architecture. Took my whole time pretty much. For 5 6 years, I was just completely away. I stopped playing music. Didn't touch the bass for like a good 6 years
Mm.
because I'm a bass player. That was the main instrument. Um, and then after that, I kind of like found my feet on the ground a little bit and started writing songs. I started playing acoustic guitar again, and I started writing poems in Farsi, like to the songs, and just gradually just built up on it, a little bit. But I never thought of myself as a poet, more of a songwriter.
Mm-mm.
Um, I still don't believe I feel like I'm a poet by association. Like I see my friends and everybody's just telling me, like, yeah, you all my friends are poets. Yeah, yeah, I must be a poet. But uh, but yeah, so then it was 2023 or late 2022 that I saw a video randomly on Instagram of a poet named John Anglezos, which I think you've seen John and Simba, I think last time we went there.
Yes.
Um, Incredible poet. And to be honest, before that, I had read a few poems by Frost in English because I grew up reading um, Persian poets.
Mm-mm.
And I barely even scratched the surface. I've tried I've read Rumi and Hafiz and Ferdowsi and Saadi and Khayyam, but that's literally just the top of the
Yeah.
iceberg. But and it's not um yeah. So I um I read a few poems by Frost, and I felt like that same feeling of an emotion in a poem that I sort of was used to. And then when I heard John, I was like, oh wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I actually got curious. I started Googling so what event it was. I found that it was like Slam Lama Ding
Yeah.
Dong. And I went to the next session there, and I kind of like Michelle told me that like, yeah, you should come. Like, I think you're a poet. And I was like, no, I'm not a poet. I was a judge at the very first session that I went there. I was like, I don't think I'm a poet. And I was like, no, you should come. I think you're a poet. I was like, okay, okay, you asked me. I had written 0 poems at that time, yeah. And then I translated one of my Farsi songs into English so I can perform it at the slammer, the next slammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh, actually, that would be a good segue. Do you want to play that song?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a good segue. This song I wrote in Farsi, and let me just get the guitar. Sorry.
Yaru's just gone to get his guitar, folks. Here we go.
So this one's called Flight, and it's about leap of faith, something that I've experienced a lot. And every time, not a lot, but like a few times in my life, but every time I've experienced it, it's been very positive afterwards. I felt like at the moment it feels very like I don't know what I'm doing. Should I be doing this or not? But then afterwards, I've always sort of appreciated that I did make that leap of faith, whether it was I don't know, quitting engineering because I was studying engineering back home, and then going to I quit engineering, went to military service so I could come here. That was actually pivotal in my life because it literally changed my life forever, and I'm very happy for that. Um, or like things like that. So this is about leap of faith through, and I thought about it in a terms of how when birds first learn to fly,
Mm-hmm.
but that imaginary sort of conversation when the little bird's just about to make its first jump and is not sure, and the concerns that the sort of mama bird has for the little bird, but you might die because you do. Yes, you do. You might die. But that's so. Yeah, this is a song called "Flight." Might just jump beyond these thorns and trees. All my eyes can see, I might breathe. Last thing I think you fly. It's true that you and I noticed the tension, chirps and chooks there to try. There to fly, there to fly. Could this be the urge to feel the breeze? Beneath outstretched wide wings, what makes us fly? Should this be feathers true to tell? our song, the wind has blown to the nightingale. You might just fly. We might just fly. I just fly. Might just fly. Might just fly. Might just fly.
Absolutely love the lyrics to that, mate, because it really captures that leap of faith that we are encouraged to take in life over and over and over again, right? In pretty much
Yeah,
on a basis where we have the opportunities to follow that thing in faith, right? To follow life in faith. I've got
true.
to say to the audience, coming across on an Instagram live or this does not do justice to this man's music talents. Just last Saturday, I was at an open mic and I heard him play, and he was like the stage was 10 foot away from me, and Instagram
Such a good
do
venue as well.
does not do it justice. But man,
Thank you, man.
I love the fact that you're a musician and you're not limited to one instrument, right? You play the piano and you play a few other instruments as well, right? Do you play a violin, do you? Or?
Oh, play. I started with violin. When I was 12, and I played like for about 2 years, but I didn't play after. I kind of like I was discouraged. I had like a very horrible tutor, like one of those that they just wanna. You have to be very rigid and like, and that's not, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that shows your adaptability, right? Violin to piano to bass
Yeah,
guitar to whatever.
yeah. I then picked bass after that because my cousin was playing guitar and I didn't want to follow him, so I'm gonna I'm gonna do something that we can still play together. And
Nothing, nothing wrong
yeah,
with family rivalry, mate.
yeah, exactly. So I picked bass, but then I fell in love with it as soon as because it's such a versatile instrument. You have like the rhythm section and the melodic section in the same sort of
Yeah,
instrument,
yeah,
which was very sort of intriguing for me. But then when I started songwriting, I found that it's hard
yeah.
to write songs on bass. So I picked the acoustic guitar up. I bought an acoustic guitar from from an old friend, which I still have, and I'm actually gonna get it fixed. It's funny because the cost of getting it fixed is like probably like triple the cost of the guitar
Wow.
at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? But yeah, I don't think I think I'll keep it. I was thinking of replacing it, but anyway. And then yeah, electric guitar. Then after acoustic, I went to electric guitar, and then gradually piano, and then now a little bit of drums.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like I'm a I don't know what to say about this, but like I just like playing around. I feel like being playful is it's essential
Yeah.
for for an artist. As much as I don't like associating myself with, because I also think that it's not for someone. It's not for me to call myself an artist. It's like if I think it's for the audience
Mm,
to think.
mm.
I don't know. I might be wrong, but I feel like it's not for. We shouldn't be labeling ourselves. It's for what basically the audience will do it for us.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, as they
Mention.
say, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? And
Mhm,
we
mhm.
check off. We might write, or we might sing, or we might play music from our hearts. But at the end of the day, it's how it's received by the audience that's the proof in the pudding, so to speak.
Yeah. So I like there's a line that Leonard Cohen has in a song called "What Happens to the Heart." Have you heard that song?
No.
I'll send it for you. It's a beautiful. It says, what is it? It's I've been always working steady, but I never called it art.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how it
yeah,
starts.
yeah,
It's a beautiful
yeah.
song, and that's what I inspire with. I hope.
With you playing so many instruments, wouldn't surprise me if I'm walking down Burke Street Mall one day and I see you there as a one-man band with.
Oh, that is. That's yeah. I would love to. I want to have like a one man band gig, but more of a one man band uh with like
Yeah,
friends. You know.
yeah,
Yeah. I was actually thinking of trying out one of the projects that I've been recently working on, and I'm very excited to share um, this week. I've been working on a series of sort of poem music videos
hmm
where I've recorded two at the moment. One with Antonio, which I just saw here, Antonio
I
Montaigne.
saw it.
Um, yeah, and uh, and I've got another one with Michael Bromberg. But what we did was basically they came over to my house because we're mates, right? Like, and they came over to my house and we hung out for a day, and starting like pretty early in the day, and then gradually getting to the flow. And they brought one of their poems, and we started working on like coming up with some sort of a tune to it. And it was a first experience for me. I've never done that before, but I really enjoyed it, and I feel like we finally managed to write something on the day together that captures the essence of that day.
Yeah, yeah,
Because often that's um, what's missing from music. I find that there's just a lot of fine tuning and post production that goes into it, just simply because of the process of producing a song.
yeah,
Um, that kind of it's easy to. I've felt um, to this myself a few times that it's very easy to um, lose the magic in production or in sort of the dressing up of a song.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sometimes you listen to the demo that you've recorded with the phone, and it hits better than the produced version of
yeah,
the song.
yeah, yeah. True. Shall
Yeah.
we some poetry?
Yes. Okay. So I've got which one? Do you want to start with the one about home?
Your choice. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, your choice. I love that piece. So
I asked you that the other time. I'm just trying to.
another one of our regular friends at the open mics joined. Angela Sam just joined as well.
Yes. Great seeing you, Angela. Uh, okay. I I'm gonna start with another one
Yeah.
that another one first. It's a short one. It's called Pomegranates in Summer, because it segues better into like, the conversation that we just had. It's a very short one.
As I said, this is your couple of hours to showcase you to the world, mate. So you take it any which way you like. Your choice.
So does that mean I can smoke
Yeah,
on this live or?
mate, I'm just a guy on a screen. Just you do your.
Okay. You will remember slowly, arrow by arrow, how the pomegranate was juiced. I will be there with you. We will take a sip together, and it will taste like summer holidays. That's it. That's
That
uh,
piece, short and sweet, but it speaks to many, right? That could be a parent to a child. That could be a friend to a friend. That could be a partner to a romantic partner. That could be a mentor helping you in your, when you're first out of college, starting your career. That piece, and I love pieces like that where they're not just for a specific group or a situation. Anybody,
mm,
anyone, as I said, as a parent, I could pick that up and I could imagine me saying that to my teenage child. I can say,
yeah. I'm fascinated by that. I feel like there are some poems that you can maintain that connection with. They feel like you feel like they're talking to you because the topic is so relevant. I'm not this specifically, but I've read like 1,000-year-old poetry
yeah,
that still hits
yeah,
because it's talking to like a common, not a necessarily a problem, but sort of like a dilemma or something that we all deal with. It brings us to the same level, and I find it fascinating that I am dealing with the same sort of stresses and anxieties and concerns and questions that someone had dealt with 1,000 years ago.
yeah,
I
yeah,
find that very
yeah,
fascinating. I find that immediate connection to, and it's funny. Like I sometimes, like I had this a friend of mine was because I find um, some funny poems in Rumi's book. I found it when I was a high schooler, and I would take my mates to the library and we would just giggle about it because Rumi is treated like a saint.
yeah,
They actually have like a shrine for Rumi. So in our culture, is like he's technically a saint, but he's very salty when it comes to is an incredible sense of humor.
yeah,
But that doesn't go well because then it becomes too human as
yeah,
if it's not. And uh, for me, that was actually more exciting. When I saw, that's when I fell in love with Rumi. I was like, oh, this guy is literally like a guy that you can meet at a pub and you could have an awesome drink
mm,
with this guy.
mm,
And because when they sanctify these people that are no longer around to actually defend themselves from doing so, I feel like there's an agenda behind it.
yeah,
I mean, I saw that agenda growing up in high school. I saw all the nonsense that they were using these poets to then justify,
yeah,
and
yeah,
sometimes even sort of plagiarizing the work or like completely changing the meaning of the work
yeah,
um, to then get their own agendas across.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, I find that that sort of connection is only when you're really honest with yourself.
mm,
Is I think it comes through in your writing, and I think
yeah.
I
But,
mean I hope. Yeah, I was
but
having this conversation with my auntie. She's also a poet. I've said this in a podcast before, but she's also a poet, and we were having this conversation about life, and she was like, "Yeah, you know a lot for your 30-year-old self, but you know nothing about your like for a 70-year-old self." I was like, I think that's a good point.
that's a nice way to be slapped down, isn't it?
Leave it to the Iranian auntie to do that for you.
Dear. Yeah. No, look, poems don't have to be long stories, right? I mean, sometimes there's so much said in 4, 5, 6 lines, you know, and that was, yeah, amazing, mate.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. I've got even a shorter one. You want me to do that?
Mate, I've
It's in the email.
retired and
It's called Common
work
Sense.
world.
um, Common sense is binary. It neglects divergence. We can have nothing in common and remain sensible.
Yes. Very potent, very potent. Um, you know,
Thank
we
you.
get even say what we get 40, 50 people or more at a open mic session even, right? And we're all different. We all got very different views. But we can respect each other, right?
Yeah, yeah. I um, and I love that. It's just like what poets seem to know best, which I love, is that they don't know and no one else knows.
Mm.
It's like if anyone says that they know something, they're probably lying. It's just that that's our that's our expertise. It's like no one knows what's happening. Let's not pretend that anyone knows what's happening. So let's just chill a little bit. And I think that brings us together in that room. And I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That openness to be um yeah, to to question freely and listen to others people's questions and um,
Yeah.
curiosities.
Angela said she's been missing catching up at open mics.
Oh my
Next
God,
Wednesday,
yeah. I haven't seen.
Creatures of Habit next Wednesday, if you're able to make it.
Yes, please. Angela was your previous guest, right? Like I saw Angela last.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago it was Angela, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Lovely
Yeah.
poet. I know Angela.
That
So,
was the second time I've featured her. I featured her about a year before that as well.
oh, was that the second
Yeah,
time?
because then she released her book earlier this year, and I said when her book's released, we'll come back again. And same with you now. I know you've got some plans with releasing an album and so forth. As I say to all my guests, mate, this is just the first time, not the last time. So as you get things happening, let me know. I usually book up a couple of months ahead. So when you know you got
Yeah,
something, let me know and we
yeah.
can schedule something for that, right?
I would love that. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you. I love that. And we also have to do like once the I would love to do like a poem music thingy it
Yeah,
yourself as well if
yeah, mate.
you're open.
I'm just 10 minutes up the road from you, so yeah.
True. Yeah. So whenever you want to just go over,
You're more
just put
close to me than Angela is. Angela's about 20 minutes away.
oh my God, that's awesome. North way, man. North is where
That's
it's at.
it. Take it
So,
away.
um, I have I want to start with sort of the ones that I haven't read to like
Yeah,
that much. Uh, Actually, there's one here that is one of my sort of more thought through and sort of longer pieces. I
yeah,
feel I'm still working on some parts of it, but um, it's again about that topic of leap of faith and hope of like what is hope is a question for me, and what does it do? Why is it important? Why is hope important for us and our sort of development? Because we seem to find ways, like to or stories or like myths or
mm,
even magic to get some sort of hope in darkest times. Um, so this one's called Begin with Hope. At the very beginning, there's only hope, an intention, a goal, be it for better or worse. When a lover seeks war or a warrior finds home, When a fox brings meat for its starving little kit, or the piglets go roam. O hope, you blissfully elegant, yet somewhat ignorant you. You found a way to stay, often through words of the daunted, telling tales of the brave, an eternal epic of curiosities. In search of lost gods that we never seem to please, we found stories that remain forever true. An innate consensus, harmonic values, think for release. And poetry, to me, often seems to be this timeless, boundary-free collective diary, written by those often judged as easily impressed, as they tend to find peace well below the crest, where most mountaineers would struggle to rest. See storm? Think smell of the earth after a rainfall, the first post-flood warm afternoon tea. Behind the traffic light, they might be easier to spot, their faces glowing red and hardly ever blue, peaking with elation, capturing birds in slow motion, ladybugs grass blading, or passerby walking dogs by the creek, life cascading off a guardrail's cheek. It is true, they question a lot, way before ego's sharpie leaves a bleeding spot, way before any poem is ever heard. Perhaps even before they learn how to form a word, they wander, get lost. And if they ever find themselves thought to be found from arrogance, they're certainly bound to abstain with faith in getting lost all over again. They continue wandering with faith, hopes aplenty. And what is faith, if not trusting the process of the many? And there will be hope as long as there is time. That's just enough to grant a word a rhyme. An attempt to memorize hope by means of attraction. Thoughts turned into hymns, wonder in action. I feel, thank you. I feel like there's the reason for stories. All the stories have been told in poems because they're easier to remember. Music.
Before we spoke of faith, your song was on faith, right? Now we've been through poetry of hope. Have you got one on trust? Because then you got the hat trick, right? Those three things to me, I hold of great value and hold it as my guiding light. They are so simple, but still so hard. We say we got trust, right? And soon lose that trust, we start having suspicions. We say we got faith, but the minute we got challenges in life, we lose that faith. We say we got hope that the sun will be shining tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yet if it's slightly overcast, we lose that hope very fast. It's so simple, and yet as humans, we struggle to master those three.
That's a very good point. Yeah, right? It's
I've seen people who are the most positive people who live in hope like crazy, right? But then I've seen them falter when things go sour, right? Trust, we all would have seen it in relationships. We would have experienced it in relationships or friendships or our friends' friendships and relationships. You would have witnessed it around. We say we got trust, and then we just lose it so quickly. The minute we don't resonate in our thinking. So between your song and that you open up with and this poem, you've covered two of the hat trick, mate, that I hold with great.
Very interesting, because I don't think I have one on trust, but now I'm feeling like I want to write one on trust. Yeah, because you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I feel like, but it's well, trust and tolerance kind of
Yeah.
do a dance
Mm.
together. I feel like
Yep.
it's like at which point do you stop trusting
One
something?
one is the knife, and one is the blade, and one is the handle of the knife, right? Trust.
Yeah, true. Very interesting. Well, definitely will. I'm not sure if I let me have a look. If well, I've got one about greed that touches on that a little bit, like the
Yeah.
uh,
I wanted to showcase your work, man. Don't let me talk into things. Just go for it.
no, no, not at all. Thank you very much. Okay, so this one is about greed, and I wrote it for the Pause for Palestine gig that White Union Boys were running. Um, it does touch on something similar to trust. It takes a village to raise a child, but only a poem can birth a soul. Countless stories have vanished in flames by the enraged progeny of the soulless, as the children of Adam are barely recognizable, once blinded with fear and pampered with greed. The first kill is always the hardest. Do you know me? Do we know we? Would you spare me with grace if I take your arms? How about I cut your legs off too, while I'm at it and the blade is wet? Would you ask your children to spare mine? Did you succeed at washing away my story with the blood of my friends? All wars are waged against humanity, itself poetry. They target our perception of the world, that the greed of a few can triumph over the will of a poem to live in peace. It is this narrative, my soulful friends, that we're ultimately at war with, since after all it came to be that the difference between a football field and a shooting range was barely ever architecture. That's of that part where about it's a bit sort of rough, but I've kind of like it like that. Like when I wrote it, I felt a little bit intimidated by it. I was like, would you spare me with grace if I take your arms?
Nothing rough about that, mate. That's your reality. Nothing rough about that.
But it's true. Like
Yeah.
I feel that if but that's the question that's been asked a lot of
Mm,
times. That's the expectation
mm.
that's being put on people. That's like we're behaving like this is what should happen. But um, does that touch on trust? I feel like it does touch on trust a little bit. Maybe.
It
I
touches
don't
on
know.
a lot of things there, actually, like the greed of a few, right? Generally,
Yeah.
most skirmishes, most wars, most battles, and things like that, most arguments, even between neighbors or family, it generally stems from the greed for something, right?
Mm,
Or the lack of tolerance of understanding, right? It touches on that. But the one of the key things there that in as you said, the part that's rough, what I liked about that, it touched on vengeance, right?
mm,
If I cut
mm.
your leg, would you kill my children too?
Yeah.
Right? I that particularly is of value to me because I was a very revengeful kid. uh,
Mm.
I could not forgive. I would go and square things up even 2 years later. So to learn how to park the blade of vengeance was a big challenge for me in life.
How did you was it like a penny drop one day, or was it gradual? How did you actually arrive that I don't want to be vengeance? I don't want to do vengeance anymore. I don't maybe like revengeful.
I wouldn't say I've. 100% mastered it, but I've done it else, right? So I wouldn't advise anybody to test me on this. I'm very frank, but you know me, I'm an honest kind of guy, right? I wish I could put my hand on my heart and say, yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not a vengeful person, but I can't, right? Um,
Also a boxer, yeah.
one of that opportunity actually came from somebody who I stood totally against. Like, I grew up here in the 70s where racism was an issue, right? It's not, Melbourne's not the Melbourne we know now. And I've started dating this girl, and this guy held a very prominent position in society. And he actually tried to get his own daughter declared mentally unstable so she couldn't leave home because she was dating me because of my darker complexion. This sucker was 6'5" and he was a very prominent person within the community in Essendon area. So he agreed for me to be able to see her. And the very first night we go out, I've come to drop her off at home. I've still got one arm in the seatbelt. And my mother used to pray that I would learn to turn the other cheek because I was well on my way to killing somebody or going into a prison, right? My mother prayed that I learned to turn the other cheek, and I've still got one arm stuck in the seatbelt, and this guy's 6'5", he's taken a crack. And
Oh,
something snapped in my head, said, let him vent his anger on me so she is safe. So I stood in the middle of Buckley Street in Essendon, let this 6'5" guy take pot shots at my head, right? One, his ring got me here, and I was training in the peak of my training.
yeah.
One, his ring got me here, and reflectively I blocked and gone, but then I put my arms down, stood there until he was exhausted. I went
Yeah.
home. I was only 5 minutes away from their house. I went home and I sat there, blood dripping down my jacket and all, but something told me this hasn't changed. Well, then he ended up clocking her too. Then it was a different story. Then his doors were burst open and this crazy savage was there. But
Yeah, I know.
but that man, this guy stood for everything I was against, and yet he probably gave me the best opportunity in life by him being the arsehole that he is. He
Yeah,
gave me the opportunity to overcome the biggest challenge that I had to face,
true.
and probably the reason why I'm still alive today, talking to you today, before somebody's knife or somebody's gun found me.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's how I
well
overcame.
said.
From
Well
that
said. It's
onward,
like
from
like,
I could
Mhm.
forgive, I could turn the other cheek. But before
Mhm.
that,
Yeah. So that was the moment.
yes,
You made that sort of decision, not to, because vengeance hurts you more than,
yeah, yeah.
and it like even if it's funny, like, you haven't got a poem about that?
Uh, I have got some dark poems,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll read it to you. I'll read it on one of the lives. I mean, yeah, I'll read it to you.
Yeah. 'Cause
I've got a
I can imagine. I can imagine. I know that you were hurt, like you like that's it. But the pain of actually, I imagine it being less painful than actually having done that and fallen for that
yeah.
event. Yeah,
Well,
and that's I
before
think that's the
people could press buttons and I danced, right?
yeah,
Now I
yeah,
dance if I want to. That's the key difference now, right?
yeah,
And
yes,
it,
yes.
it was quite funny the first time I posted one of those dark. One was called the Sword of Truth.
Mm,
When I posted that, oh, Retribution, when I that was one of the first dark poems that I wrote, and people on Instagram were social used to me writing all these love and kind and laughter poems, and then they saw this dark side and they go, "What? Where did this come from?" Right? Because they on me, but to me, life is balancing that light and the dark.
exactly. Not ignoring either of them, just acknowledging them so that you can balance it. That's more love. Yeah.
When you can stand in the middle and balance the fire and the ice,
Mm,
that's enlightenment, right?
yeah. Yeah. True.
Anyway, enough about me. It's all about you. Take it away, my friend.
I've got I've got only one angry or like dark, if you want to call it, poem. Do you want to read it? Because
Yeah.
it's called Connotations. It's about. I give a trigger warning for manipulators when I read this. Like for just like if you're a manipulator, please feel free to leave the room. It's called Connotations. It's not like I'm I'm the kind of person that would say the kind of things that I'm about to say now, but that front could surely use some connotations. Confrontation seems to be the only fitting key. Your smile is fake, and heavens know I'm a black belt in this art. Knew it from the start, because you're not the first nor lonely, and won't be the last of those who would have had to ponder between safe and fun, and then consider seriously. But I can't help but feel betrayed for how furious that facade makes me. You prioritize self, weaponize love, and use smiles as currency.
Mm.
But a truly friendly smile, despite living, breathing, life-giving, never expires.
Mm.
I felt that a lot. I'm like very I I got into some trouble occasionally with like recently, because I've not recently but like overall, like because I don't like the safety of the poetry scene space means so much to me. It's my holy grail. I've like found, finally a place that I feel safe, and I can share my thoughts and get feedback, like on my thoughts, which matters so much to me, because um really I really am wary of arriving at conclusions without sharing the thought process
Mm.
with at least a few people. I
Yeah.
don't really, because doesn't matter how true something might feel, there's always things that you're missing. I feel like when you're thinking by yourself. So that's why communication and just sharing is so important. And then to be able to do that with a group of people that as open and as bright, really, of the poets in the scene, um, is just priceless. So I take that safety very seriously,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of like militant towards. I feel like if when I feel that safety being threatened by a person, or trying to be, when I feel that sort of that openness is being taken advantage of, I don't like. That's where I get my blood gets. But I actually kind of panic a little bit, low key. I panic, but then my response is, okay, I gotta address this. I gotta raise that this is not on. So uh, hopefully that it won't spiral into something out of control.
Mm. That
So this was my response.
that momentary panic is just to get the adrenaline running, right?
Yeah, right.
In
Yeah, like
fight mode. Yeah.
yeah, true. Because that ties in with the flow. I
Yeah.
think the flow state a little bit. Like when you get in that
Yeah.
sort of yeah, pressure makes diamonds kind of thing.
There are some very powerful lines in there that one could reflect on, like the ending lines, like the power of a smile is often so underestimated, mate. You
Yeah,
we could be walking down the street with with our minds just preoccupied with our own problems and challenges, but taking time out of that to smile to that stranger could be on the brink of taking their lives, and that smile could save them.
yeah. Man, it's very. I'll give you a very uh, small anecdote. Like my poetry journey, literally started. with the poop poem. Like I wrote that poem, and I didn't read it for anyone because I didn't think much of it. Like we were just like me and my cousin. Um, we were talking about this matter of like how vulnerable, how fragile we really are, and we just don't think. Like Sting says, like in Sting's words, how fragile we are. Literally that. And I wrote like this poem about constipation and how like we're all one constipation away from death. Um, like there are other poets have raised this same issue in a much better ways. But like Prophet Muhammad has a saying that Muslims are supposed to sort of be grateful for every breath they exhale, because
Yeah.
one of them is not going to come out. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That
It's
last.
true. One of them. That's yeah. Every time you exhale, you've been given a chance.
Yeah.
I think same goes with the poop. But like, so that I read that poem one day. I showed it to Shai, just randomly. We were talking about the poetry night. We had a poetry night, and it was like, are you gonna go off? I was like, no, I haven't got like shit. And then there was someone on stage, and Shai was like, well, your shit's probably better than theirs anyway. And I was like, funny you say that. I've got actually one about shit. So I showed it to Shai, and that she encouraged me. She was like, you should read this. And then Tony at the next poetry night was like, have you got, can I, because I assumed Shai told Tony about it. And I was like, can I read that poem? And I read it to Tony, and then he encouraged me too. And that was it. The rest of the poems that I've read, they've all come after the poop poem.
You mentioned Shy. She's actually on here. I'm featuring her here end of May. She's another amazing
She's
poetess.
incredible.
Yeah.
She's incredible, yeah. But like it's just those kind of like small acts, of course, whether if it's like just giving someone that extra bit of confidence
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they need or validation goes I've experienced it goes a long way. Like I've got like almost a book ready now that
To
started with constipation.
to those in the audience, I've got to say one of the first times I met Yaru, and among the first poems I heard him read was this one titled "Poo," which is about constipation. That is how I sort of got to know this guy.
Yeah, that's uh
I still laugh about that poem. Yeah, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm not reading it because like it's been published. I like I just it's in the book. It's out of my system.
yeah. Actually, I just want to take a minute to thank Adazen. She's from Nigeria, I believe. Tom Desara,
Brilliant.
Florida. Tom, Adazen, Angela, you guys are always on this show supporting the featured guest. And I really, really treasure Sir Lawrence. It's really great to see you guys week in every show. You're there in support of whoever I'm featuring, and really, I value your support and kindness. As I often say, the people in the room, your support and all that is what helps the featured guests to give off themselves and showcase more of themselves. So thank you very much. I know normally there's people when one of their friends are being featured, they're there, but you guys are there week in, week out. You're there, and I really value what you do. Really do. Sorry, mate.
Of on the topic of oh and like curiosity or like actually on the topic of um uncertainty, and I think it's the part of one of the like the beauty of life is just not being certain. I feel like it's if we knew what's gonna happen, then you know
You
what's
said,
the
you said that
goal of it?
for certainty, but really, if we step back and look, the beauty of life is that uncertainty.
Yeah,
What makes the present so good when you're unwrapping it, right? The uncertainty. Doesn't
yeah,
matter what it is, that excitement, that anticipation of what am I unwrapping here? That
yeah,
uns But we look for certainty. We want,
yeah. We strive for certainty,
yeah,
which I think gets the wheels
yeah,
going, you know. But like, it's the fact that it's uncertain. I find it's beautiful.
mm,
So I've got one about um, that uncertainty. It's called agnostic, because I used to be when I migrated. I was never religious. Like I was. I mean, that's a lie. When I was a kid, I was religious. I was religious because because of fear. I was literally afraid of the dark and the you know like the jinns and the ghouls that can come hunt me, as the traditional stories go.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I would sort of chant religious chants before going to bed or something when I was a kid. My parents were fairly secular. They didn't um, push me in either direction, which I'm very grateful for, because it allowed me to actually accept it for myself openly. And I would like, there were times that I was religious, then I
mm,
started reading a bit more and started questioning. The first thing I questioned was, how come I can't question this? That was the very first thing. I was like, how come you're telling me that the problem started when you started asking questions? I'm like, that doesn't go in. There's no other field other than religion that this is acceptable.
yeah, yeah,
So like, but so I then became, like, in my early 20s, I became fairly, I became an atheist, and was fairly militant at that too. I was like very like, no, this is like Christopher Hitchens and like Richard Dawkins and like blah blah. And it took me a while to realize that there is the value of this religious stories and the impact, and like the reason that they're there, and that also um, you, you cannot. It is inherently uncertain. Life after, before, like everyone's got a tale of it. The million religions that they all have their own sort of justifications for what happens or why it happens, and they contradict each other. Some of them follow each other, but to me it sounds like, okay, so no one knows. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna take that as a, and that's enough for me. I'm happy that no one knows. I'm like actually more happy that someone that there's a mystery,
yeah.
you know.
And
So I've got this one called agnostic about that. I'm gonna read that after. Sorry, you go first,
I
then
was
I'll
going to
read.
say, I think what it does is gives us a framework, set of guardrails with signposts along the way, but we have freedom of choice to choose. But it gives us that framework, especially as we're young, developing minds through our adolescent years and all that. It gives us that choice. And I think, but really, um, as we all know, religions, have been caused wars through history, right? Through people's unacceptance of the other religion or so forth. But if you step out of it and you look in, they're all saying the same thing, just
Yeah,
different,
it's,
right?
well, that's a very interesting um, point, because religions are often um, they often spark for a different reason than they sustain.
Yeah,
They like come from a
yeah,
spiritual perspective, but then become this sort of organization. And then because of the power that spirituality and that hope has, uh, but organizations can often be biased and then taken to whatever direction they want. Like most religious books were written hundreds of
yeah.
years
But
after.
if you take the label out, if you take the label Jesus out and replace it with Vishnu, with Krishna, with Allah, with
Yeah,
Buddha, it's all saying that they all say the same thing, right?
yeah, because exactly right. It's the stories that uh, connect us, and we all accept these values, because the values are true, you know, the values of honesty and the values of friendship, like do not hurt your neighbors, do not rob, do not kill, like the 10 commandments or whatever. Not, I don't want to talk about my pay grade, but like they, I see similarities and they shape our sort of understanding as humans, and rightfully so. Like I don't mind that at all. I actually love these values that have been instilled in us by these ancient stories.
Yeah. Have you read Angela's comment there? She wanted to be a nun up until she was 28,
Oh
and
no, I didn't read it.
spiritual pagan, lost faith completely, and now in her 50s she has found herself back
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, that's been my sort of experience as well. I'm happy. I'm the happiest, like more content that I've ever been now, that I know that I don't know and that no one else knows either.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm actually excited about that, you know?
yeah,
That makes me feel fear death less, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna be. No one knows what's gonna be. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so agnostic, it touches on that. I'm not religious, but I'm not. Oh, sorry, you there? Did you drop out?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, no worries. I thought you dropped out. I'm not. It's my first time doing this sort of live
No, no,
separate thing.
no.
I am not religious, but I'm not stupid either. At least not enough to assert uncertainties, claiming heavens or hell. The pathway to paradise is covered with grass, leaves, and sticks, not carpets, after all. And I do stand forever grateful to the very first skeptic for discovering fire, the torch that lit up the trail, aspired adventure.
Mm,
But no wanderer shall ever be blamed for seeking home.
mm, mm, mm.
You know, I feel like there
Very
is.
that you can reflect on for sure. It raises some valid points, right?
I think wherever, yeah, there is merit in questioning. Or I believe in that. Like always questioning, always being thinking. Like, why is that? Why are the things the way they are?
Mm,
And I found repeatedly that then they don't necessarily need to be like that
mm,
the way they are. There's some things that don't need to be the way they are at all. And sometimes, like even in my later sort of not even about specifically religion, but about I don't know, political movements or like even cultural movements, or like you, it's once you're in it and they've been established for a long time, it's harder to kind of see um, a life outside of it.
yep.
But then when you question it and you go back and read some of the story, is like you see that these are like decisions that have been made,
Yeah.
and there was a life before that.
The only
Yeah.
way I try to get sense out of it is by, in the quietness of my own mind, removing myself out of it and then looking at it and say, what would, and then I put myself back in and say, okay, what would make me feel that way, or what would make me think that way? And then through that is how I gain understanding. So what I'm doing inadvertently is unraveling the layers of me to be able to understand what's happening.
Mm,
Because
mm,
at the end of the day, everybody's human, right?
yeah.
We're all, whether we come, what culture, what place we come from, we're subject, our behaviors might be subject of our environment, but we're human. So in trying to understand my humanness, or from a human point of view, trying to understand it is how I make sense of it.
Yes. True. And it's like it's very it's very honorable, I feel, like to that you got to start from, like, you always have to do more yourself to understand more. It's not like, it's not external, it's internal.
Mm.
I like that. I like, I feel like,
At the end of the day, if I was to put it this way, if you came and you stole this golf ball from me
mm,
and I hurt, you just took the ball.
yeah,
But why does it hurt me? Is it my attachment to this? Is it because I felt you as a friend let me down? What is it that caused me pain? Because I can go and buy 100 of these right now, right? It's
yeah,
no value.
mm,
But what is it that affected me? And that's what I evaluate and try to understand. Then in understanding, is it my attachment to this? Is it my um, pain of a
in that,
friend, another human being letting me down? What is it? And in understanding that,
yeah,
then at the end of it, you taking this ball means nothing.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
just an act. It was just an event.
mm,
So
mm,
in
yeah.
understanding me is how I understand the world.
And I mean, like, that's the way that you can learn from that whole, like, that act. That's how you can turn it into something positive.
Mm.
I feel like, because what else are you gonna do? You know, at the end of it, it's I've already taken the ball. Yeah, so it's like,
Uh,
it's just that
Betrayal is
yeah.
quite key to most of us, right?
Mm.
But
Well, betrayal is you touched on a very interesting thing about betrayal, is that sort of, when it's that feeling of being taken advantage of, or like being let down, that hurts most.
so just
It's like when you lose $5, or like when you, versus when you're robbed of $5, it's like a different feeling, you
yeah.
know?
So betrayal is an interesting thing. Remember, we spoke of vengeance before and how I was that, and I was a very revengeful person. So if somebody betrayed me, I went and squared up the evens, right?
Yeah.
Until I now, the way I look at it is, again, getting back to this. If you took this ball from me, right? You betrayed me. You betrayed my trust. Why am I feeling bad when you did the wrong thing? That you taking that ball is for you to go and deal with your own conscience. Why the effing hell am I torturing myself because you betrayed my trust?
Yeah, why do I take that load?
At the end of
Yeah.
it, I'm not the one who did the wrong thing. I gave you my hand of friendship in total honesty and things like that. You did the wrong thing. Why am I punishing myself? I can choose to not be as close to you or disassociate myself from you, but why am I going to feel bad because you did the wrong thing? Why am I carrying the guilt you should be carrying?
Yeah. 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 Well said. Exactly. And I feel it's this line of thinking, I feel like, that helps you to stop even the vengeance, or like it stop escalating, or like spiraling into this.
And the other trap that we can fall into
Mm.
because of what you did, Angelo or Antonio offers me their hand of friendship, and I not trust them because of what you did. Now that's unjust. Now that I should feel bad about, because Angela or Antonio or Tabani, who's been also supporting the show all day, has got nothing to do with your actions. Why am I mistrusting them because you let my trust down? That's the other trap that we got to be very careful of, because I don't care if 100 people let me down or betrayed me. I am not going to not trust that 101st person. Call it I might be assertive and I might not just jump in blindly, but I will give that person a chance.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice
Yes.
if you're just taking. Yeah, if you do that, you're just sort of, yeah, taking the future opportunities away from you. You're letting that incident, you know,
Mm,
do its thing that is
mm,
actually works.
mm,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Man, I'm loving this conversation, by the way. I don't know
Same here.
what your experience, by the way, but this is like literally, yeah, I'm loving it. In icons, I want to practice. Oh, here's another one. Do you want to read another one?
Mate, we've got about 25 minutes left.
Oh,
Only because
that's so
as
quick.
much longer, but Instagram, after they started doing at a higher resolution, after
Mm.
1 hour 45, 1 hour 50 minutes, I lose the audio on the end when I download it for the YouTube. So I try to keep it 1 hour 45, 1 hour 50 minutes, then I'll get the whole clip. I can download.
All put together. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right. So you put these on YouTube as well, do you?
Yeah, so when I post this, I'll add you as a collaborator so you can add it to your own show. Then I create a YouTube post and I'll send you the link to that. And I also create a podcast of the audio which goes on Spotify and so forth. And I'll send you those links and you can use them as you wish.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. So this one's called Icons and Things. I want to practice seeing everything for what it actually is, as opposed to what it resembles. My home as my shelter, where I rinse my conscience clean, away from the cold, embraced not just by heat, but warmth. It refracts love and amplifies during the darkest of nights. What it isn't is a token of my relevance, an avatar of my worth, as a contributor to the story. The TV unit is poorly made, like the way a do-it-yourself unit should do. And it reminds me of your hands and the smell of fresh paint as we put on the green coat on the inside for the very first time. I love it for all of the memories we've made right there in front of it. What it isn't is a representation of how desperate it looks, on all fours, begging for retirement. A task, need, do. It's a TV unit, and I want it to stay that way.
Yeah. Mate, I want to see you reading more of this. I've been privileged today to hear some stuff that I haven't even heard you recite at open mics.
Yeah,
Actually,
I haven't read, yeah, most of these for a while. I don't think. Oh, do you want to do another song?
yeah, mate, go for it.
I've got a.
Remember,
So
this is Yaru's couple of hours, mate. Not me. I'm just a screen, just a mechanism. I just make it happen.
you're
About you.
you're amazing, and you're the audience, man. I'm just trying to. I haven't read the comments a lot because I sort of already am distracted enough as is, like in my day-to-day life. So I'm trying to keep to the thing, but I'll definitely go through. Can I read the comments after, or are
No,
they gonna
you,
vanish?
unfortunately, Instagram when you post the live, the comments are lost. Unfortunately, it's a
Oh, so like before we say goodbye, I definitely have to go bye. And oh my God, so many comments. Thanks everyone. Uh, this is um, it's called Sway, and I haven't played it in a while, so it might be a bit rusty. But let's see if we go. Your hands are so tender, darling, now sweat till the those stars will chip round stay. Magic in the woods, just as we keep a watch as the clouds pass by. Cater is my drive. Fruitful are those. Let's pray, let's play, let's forever. Oh, sorry. Just give me a second. I haven't played this in a long while. I forgot it. So it's time to chip crowd stay. It's magic in the woods. Please. Keep watch as the clouds pass you by. It is my pride. Barefoot through puddles, let's play. Let's for if just today. Need to practice a bit more, but anyway, got it done.
The sometimes the it kept breaking up a bit for me. I hope it was just my internet and not anybody else's. Hope you got. Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
hearing you play live in person. It's awesome where the sound is not. Sometimes Instagram or phones don't do justice to it, right?
Yeah, they
When
cut actually, especially when you're on a
yeah,
live setup. I found
yeah,
that they cut out.
yeah. It was some of the notes and all were getting clipped or in between even on the.
Oh,
Um,
it might actually help if I don't play that loud, so that I don't know. Maybe I'll play one more, but this from the album that I'm
yeah,
working on. But then we'll do a few more
yeah.
poems before. So this one is for my grandma, and it's uh, I wrote it specifically so I can be taken back to the memories of my childhood. It's a very descriptive form, like, and very true to the architecture of the house. It's actually describing the architecture of my grandma's house. Yeah, I remember, as you enter, go up. It's like an old Persian house, which is you enter through the garden. There's like a half floor up, and then half floor down, which goes to the basement, and then half floor up, large terrace, and then like a villa. And every Persian New Year, which is in March, at the start of spring, we have we do a spring clean. of the house. And the memories of the sprinkling is like a very family, like group thing, because there are a lot of rugs in Persian homes. So, and washing rugs, especially back in the day, was really difficult. It's like very cumbersome thing. You got to wash them over and over again. So it was a big family thing. You know how Italians make like tomato sauce kind of thing? Like ours was like washing the rugs together. And so I remember that sort of memory, and then we would hang the rugs off the terrace to dry and everything. And it was just like, and it's, you're in a festive kind of season. So I tried to see if I can sort of hack that in a song. And it's called Home. Blue as the sky, gate of the jasmines, dear passing by. Step through the blossoms up to terrace, the rugs hang to dry. I'm so keen to try this tea that you brew of morning dew. The smile on your face makes the sweet taste sweeter as a promise to keep up for when the tea turns bitter. My oldest friend, how strange it must be. For a blossom to fall from the stream. And I'll do for you, you for me.
Amazing. Did your grandmother ever get to hear that song?
Yes, it's actually in both in Farsi and English. So both of the most of the songs in the album are gonna be in two versions,
Yeah.
Farsi and English. And
Yeah.
like depending on which one I wrote first, like some songs I start writing in Farsi and then translate into English, and vice versa. Depending on which one came first, the other one would be like a B-roll, like an acoustic version,
Yeah.
maybe with a piano or something. And for the music video of this one, I've actually modeled, because I do architecture, right? I'm architect by trade. So I've modeled my grandma's house in 3D, and it's gonna be an animation of actual going through. Yeah, I've modeled it in using the old photos and everything.
Yeah. You know,
So the whole thing, yeah.
yeah.
I've actually,
Yeah.
that's the in the works.
Can't wait, can't wait. Hey, we've got about 10 minutes, so you got a closing poem that you got to close off with?
Okay. I wanna uh, I wanted to read that one about home, but I cannot find it for some reason.
While you're having a look at your last piece, I'll just take a minute. Adazen, Tom, Sir Lawrence, Angela, Tabani, Antonio, thank you very much for being on the show and supporting Yaru and supporting the show. Um, your support means a lot each week. As I say each week, the show wouldn't be the same without your support and encouragement for the featured guests to give off themselves. And you guys are staunch supporters week in, week out. You know, you always get the people pop in, oh, it's not an open mic, and they're off they go, right? But you guys are, and it is, you're there from start to finish, Tom, yourself. Really appreciate everything. Yeah.
Same, man. I really appreciate the support. It's lovely. It's just lovely. And it's like, to be honest, it's like my favorite way of starting Saturday as well. Like, I just wake up on just Saturday. I just put it on and I'm like, yeah, poetry. Start the day with the poetry. It's awesome. I love it. I love it.
There you go.
I found the point.
Writing an assignment for school, and this has been a great listen to her while she's doing the assignment for college.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. Oh my God. Okay. So when a house turns home,
Hmm. I love this.
uh, when a house gets built, it feels lonely but new. Smells like chipboard and glue, residue of a painter's soul.
Hmm.
It's like true master craftsmen put their hands on each corner, caressing each door, each plug, each window. Who cares as long as it's built right, right? Ready for the life ahead. A shelter from the rain, however insignificantly sophisticated. But I guess only once it's been loved enough, it starts smelling like sweat and tears and tar, or so many other revolting things, with its dusty edges and spider webs, or mortar teeth fight decay. Then every glass of water summons a painful cry from the underworld where the pipes run dry. When a house is loved, it welcomes every guest, be it the cat or its owner, the spider or its prey. It's a place where a resident might just stay. When a house turns home, the cats piss champagne, and spiders weave in golden silk, and a hint of life covers everything. That's
Brother, I heard you yeah, recite that last week before. I loved it. And yeah, it's phenomenal, mate. Phenomenal.
it.
It's
Thank
true, right. There's a lot of people you see they work hard for that big house that's prestigious, but it's not a home. And then you go to some little shack that's filled of love and it's a home. You
I
know.
feel like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, I've got a I've got a funny anecdote that I just thought about because when one of the clients that I was working for, without naming names, uh, was we were designing a $5 million home for this guy in Eaglemont. Now I remember going and to his house, and he was not like for a guy that was designing $5 million home, didn't seem happy. So he had it throughout the year that I was designing this house. I got to know him a little bit, and one day he told me about his neighbor that had a $25 million home with a tennis court and everything. And I was like, for me, that was like, oh, so it's a lesson, right? Like you can, for me, if I had $5 million right now, I would, that you would, yeah. you would know that I have $5 million. If I had $5 million like that. So, yeah, it's not the house that makes it a home. It's the life that goes in it and the living that goes in it. And it's um, that life can happen in a shed, in a tent. It doesn't need to. And it's been happening in a tent for thousands and thousands of years. Even today, there's a book called Factfulness that I love. It's a very interesting book that puts some of the sort of stereotypical myths about and our perceptions about the world to like statistic facts against these facts. And some of it is just it just blew me away. Just the just by by simply just being having a roof over your head or having access to like a bathroom or shower, that puts you in the top like 30% of the world. That's insane for me. Just like the fact that you've got a shower, if you've got a shower, you're the top 30%. That doesn't mean that you're the top like happiest 30%, of course, but like I think there's a lesson in that for all of us.
It's a good timing. My neighbour behind, they've just sold a house and they're doing some renos. That's what Angela asked. Is there a drill happening? Yep, that's at 2 doors down from me. So good timing. We managed to get the show
Let's see,
done.
go see if they need an architect. I'll just look.
I'm
We
about
do 10%. Even if you,
to drilled up. That's what about to happen. Brother, thank you very much, Yaru.
thank you.
Mine has been a pleasure, mate, and I enjoy the chats that we have at lives, but we get interrupted, right? But this has been a great couple of hours where I've really got to know so much more of you and hear so much more of your work. Brother, remember this is not the first time, as I said, so as your album and all's coming up, let's slot another session in.
Definitely
Okay.
will. And thank you to everyone for joining in, and thank you, of course, for giving me the opportunity. I really loved it.
Pleasure, mate.
Thank you so much, guys.
You know, so always love to get people of substance and with their work. I've got, you know, Tom DeSaro coming up next. I've got Sir Lawrence and Tabani is on. Shy is coming up. So,
Anyway,
great people.
cannot.
Right? Thank you again, everybody, for your support. That drill really is starting to annoy me. I'm going to have to go and smack them out and say, what are you doing? My calm.
Serenity now. Serenity now.
Yaru, thank you, brother, and thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed. Love to you all. Thank you.
Have a good day, guys. Ciao.